Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode. So this is actually part 2 of my oil leak fixing procedures. So I thought I would do this in 2 parts, otherwise these videos get a little bit too long. So what I have been doing since episode 1 is I've cleaned all the tinware. I just made this tool. You can actually buy them, but I didn't have one, so I thought I'd quickly make one. This is for putting the main crank seal in nice and square. So you basically put that on, you tighten this up, and it pulls it in nice and squarely. So yeah, I'm going to change that. I actually stole this from my Karmann gear engine parts, so I'm going to order another one for that, but yeah, at least I have one. And the other one is the oil cooler seals, which I also stole from the spares for the Karmann gear engine. And there's also the O-ring that sits inside the flywheel. So anyway, I thought I would just show you the differences between the earlier and later oil coolers. So this is an earlier model, and as you can see, it only has 2 seals, and that basically sits on top of the engine like that, kinda. Maybe this doesn't fit this engine. Well, that sits there basically, and because this sits directly inside the fan shroud, the air that is blown through this to cool it actually gets warmer air blown onto the number 3 cylinder. So as you can imagine, the cool air blows through here before it blows through the number 3. So number 3 cylinder is notorious for running hotter than the other 3 cylinders. So to combat that, what Volkswagen did is they came out with this, and I believe they call this version the doghouse fan shroud, I think. I don't know why. But anyway, so this, as you can see, has this additional bracket on here. So you basically have 2 seals at the bottom, like the original one. This goes this way around. So it has the 2 seals that sit on the bottom, but it also has another 2 seals to connect the cooler to the bracket. So you have 2 extra seals that could potentially leak. So I'm going to change all 4 of those, because I think at least one of these and maybe one of these was leaking, even though I had changed them just 6 months ago. So there's something not quite right there. I'm going to use a bit of sealant on there, but it does look like I did the last time, but I need to sort that out. So let's get on with that. First, the main seal. Okay, I'm going to try a method to remove the main seal in a video that I used before when I was building the gearbox, I believe, which failed miserably, but I'm going to try it again on this, and it's going to work perfectly. So to remove this seal, there is a special tool that's basically a lever that pulls it out that I don't have. So what I'm going to try and do is one of these self-drilling tap-in screws. I'm going to screw it into the seal, and then I'm going to use my little slide hammer to try and pull the seal out. I might have to use a couple of screws either side, but I'm going to give that a go, and hopefully it'll work this time. Oh, by the way, if you watched my last video about putting the repair insert into the spark plug, now the Loctite has gone off, you can see that it's seated beautifully. It's super flush and straight, so I'm really happy about that, and it hasn't come out when I took the spark plug out, so that's a job done at least. Right, let's get the seal out. So gently We'll insert that like that, and I think I'm going to do one the other side. Obviously don't put the screw in too deep because you could potentially do some damage. Okay, so that's just gone in there. Right. Yeah, so it didn't work. But it's definitely moved, so I'm going to try a couple top and bottom. Boom, there you go. That's how you do it. Just cleaned up the oil that was there, just with some brake cleaner. Be really careful that you don't knock off your shims, because this is what sets your end float. You should make sure you don't lose those, and make sure everything is nice and clean. Okay, so the seal I have taken off. There's a couple of types of seals you can get, and the one I'm replacing this one with, this actually has like a extra dust flap. So you can see on the edge here, there's like an extra lip, and that stops dust and grit and everything getting inside. So the one that I had put on there doesn't have that, but this is something I only just found out when I was going to order a new one. So I think the one that this one that was on there actually came in a kit of seals. I don't remember actually. Maybe I just ordered that one. But okay, so this is a new one, different color. Don't know why, but quite simply, you want to go in dry. So you just kind of wedge it in there a little bit. Just a little bit of pressure just to get it on there. And then I'm going to use my new tool. So this is basically really simple. I cut like a strip of part of a tube. I think this is 90 millimeters across. Then I cut a flat plate and just tacked it together, and then drilled the center hole big enough for the end bolt to go on. I'm not sure if this is actually going to be long enough, so I think I'm going to have to tap it in just a little bit to get the thread started. Okay, started there, look. Right, with a 36 millimeter socket, you should be able just to wind this in. Oh, it's working perfectly, look. Okay, it felt like it stopped there. It doesn't have to be tight, just needs to be home. So that tool actually worked really nicely. So it only took me about 8 hours to make that, so that's brilliant. So there you can see it sits just inside the lip, and these dowels protrude a little bit. That's why you need to make a bit of a step in the tool so it fits over there. So that's one job. hopefully, or one leak hopefully fixed. Next up, I'm going to put the flywheel on. So this is an 8 dowel crank that I have, so obviously you need an 8 dowel flywheel. This is actually a lightened flywheel, and the only reason I bought this is because I bought that crank and then realized it had 8 dowels, which I then had to buy this flywheel, and it happened to be lightened, so this is going to go in next. So as you can see, these 8 holes fit on the end of the crank, and it will only go on one way. And because I've had everything balanced at the machine shop, they've taken some material out to balance it, and there is a dot there which will line up with your spring plate that goes on top. So always check for like hot spots or anywhere where the clutch contacts the flywheel. Everything looks really good. And on the other side, one thing that's easy to forget is there's an O-ring inside here. So as we have all of this off, I have a new one to go on. So I'll just clean this off and pop it in there. I just added a little touch of engine oil to the flaps and to the O-ring, just so it doesn't get caught up or damaged when you put this on. And like I said, this will only go on in one position. One of the dowels is actually a little bit out of line, so there it is. No, it's not. There it is. No, it's not. Okay, there. Okay, so it only goes on in one position, so one of these dowels is slightly off, so it only locates on in one place, and that's because everything has been balanced. So there we go. Right, next up is to install the flywheel nut. So I'm just going to use a bit of medium grade Loctite on the thread. I've cleaned the thread up of all the old Loctite. So let's just put a glob on there and put it in just finger tight. Don't forget to put the big washer on as well. Not that I've ever done that before, many times. So, as seen in my previous videos, I'm going to get this super duper tool out again. So, this is a tool I've also used on the rear hub nuts, and you can use it for tightening the flywheel as well. So, it says on here 25 foot-pounds applied to this end equates to 225 foot-pounds tightening power on the nut. So I just looked on the internet, and the torque that we require is 253 pounds on here. So that's kind of in between these two settings. So if I go for 27 foot-pounds, we're going to be somewhere there. I might tweak it a little bit more. So my torque wrench is in Newton meters, so I've had to convert 27 foot-pounds to Newton meters, and that equated to 36.6 Newton meters. So I've just put a couple of bolts in the flywheel and put this bar here to stop it spinning while I tighten it up. So we put the tool on there, we take up the slack like so, and then we can start tightening it. So 11mm socket on my torque wrench, and here we go. It's so easy with this tool. And there we have it. That's it. That's done. Easy as that. Okay, next is the clutch. checking this for wear, any hot spots, anywhere, any grooves, anything like that. I've just given it a bit of a clean up with brake cleaner and it all looks really good. This was brand new when I only built this engine a year ago, so it can only go on one way because it has to make contact with the flywheel, so you can't really put it on the wrong way. So it goes that way. So next up I have this. You can use a clutch alignment tool, but this is actually the shaft from a Volkswagen gearbox. So you can, oops. So all you need to do is you slide this in, so that end obviously fits perfectly in the bearing at the end of the flywheel nut. So you slide that through the clutch, and that is obviously perfectly aligned because that's what's on the end of the gearbox. So next up, same again for this, look for any hot spots or any wear and grooves, and it looks really good. I just gave it a clean up with brake cleaner. So this time, because everything's been balanced at the machine shop, they have put a dot punch here. So I need to align that with the dot you can see there that they've put on the flywheel. So that goes there, and then we just have to put 6 bolts on, sorry, with split washers, spring washers. I'll just put a couple in now to hold it in place, and then I'm going to apply thread lock to them. So I've just applied a little bit of medium thread locker Loctite to each of these. They have split washers on, 13mm socket. I'll just put them gently tight, not tight but closed, and go in a sequence like opposites, like with most things. Okay, so I've just Googled the torque settings, and it's 18 foot-pounds, which is, I think it's 24.4 Newton meters. So let's work our way around. So let's go, like I said, opposite to opposite. Just take up the slap first. Okay, so first one, opposite, opposite. Let's work our way around. Last one. Okay, and then I just double check. I'll go around one by one, just to double check. Done. And then we can take this out. And the clutch is perfectly aligned. Cool! Because this time I don't want to risk putting the engine back in the car and then seeing if the leaks are fixed, I'm actually going to put everything back together again and get it running on the table here. So then I can make sure everything's working, the rebuilt carbs, the spark plug is not leaking or popping out, and make sure that there's no leaks, or if there are more leaks than what I thought. So in order to do that, I have this. I had an old gearbox that was broken, so I cut the end off. This isn't my idea, by the way, this is just what a lot of people do. So I just cut the end off, and I can put this on the end of the engine like this and bolt it up. So what this allows you to do is put the starter motor on here and start the engine. Okay people, I think we'll leave it there. I think what I'll do is make a series of slightly shorter videos rather than cover a few subjects in one video. So then if somebody needs a specific advice on one thing, then it's in one video. So yeah, again, thanks for watching. Hope this has been helpful, and I'll get the next video out very soon. Okay, keep watching. Cheers. Bye.